Good evening and welcome to Ten10 News, your top 10 news in 10 minutes. I'm Andy Hong. Now, tomorrow is St. Valentine's Day, otherwise known as Forever Alone Day or Single Awareness Day, or as the most commercialized holiday since Halloween. But I hope you all spend it with someone special nonetheless. Yesterday in Minsk, the capital of Belarus, European Union leaders, along with Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko and Russian President Vladimir Putin, released another peace deal for the war in Ukraine. The deal, which is set to go into effect in midnight of Sunday in local time, involves a complete ceasefire, the release of all prisoners, the removal of heavy artillery from the fronts to create a buffer zone, and an increased access to humanitarian aid for the locals. On the long run, the treaty also provides for constitutional reform and border settlements for Ukraine by the end of 2015. German Chancellor Angela Merkel warned that should Russia fail to follow through with the pact come Sunday, President Putin will have to face yet more economic and political sanctions. However, even as the clock ticks down toward the Minsk Protocol, the fighting rages on at the Donetsk and Luhansk regions. These last-minute fights, like the ones that occurred in 1953, right before the armistice in the Korean Peninsula, will probably not stop until the ceasefire is completely in effect. Over 5,300 have died since last April. The nation of Myanmar is in complete turmoil as well. Ethnic violence for autonomy has been common for the former British colony, but events reached a new high point when 47 soldiers were reported dead from a week of violent clashes against Kokang rebels in the northern part of the nation. The rebels, skilled in guerrilla tactics, are also purported to be fielding heavy weapons such as anti-aircraft guns. Although the state media announced that the rebels failed to capture the town of Laukai, there is no third-party verification as of now. Venezuela also narrowly escaped an elaborate coup attempt, as President Nicolas Maduro announced in a televised speech. He was quick to blame the United States and some right-wing opposition groups for being behind the foiled coup, which included an airstrike on the presidential palace. The State Department declined to comment, as Venezuela has always been prone to accuse the United States of conspiracy, such as the purported poisoning of late President Hugo Chavez, which, by the way, was a pretty baseless argument, as Chavez has already been known to have been suffering from cancer by the time of his death. For the past months, Venezuela has been in the grip of a polarizing series of protests led by Leopoldo Lopez. This latest accusation could have been an attempt to bring the nation together against their common enemy, the United States. On Tuesday, it was confirmed that the last ISIS hostage of American nationality has indeed been killed in the custody of the terrorist group. Kayla Mueller, an aid worker who was captured by ISIS in the Syrian city of Aleppo in 2013, was said to have died in a Jordanian airstrike in the city of Raqqa, an assertion strongly rebuked by U.S. Rear Admiral John Kirby as he warned the public not to jump to conclusions. Mueller was the 10th prominent foreigner who was executed by ISIS. Meanwhile, in America, over 5,000 people gathered to attend funeral prayers for the 3 murdered college students in North Carolina, although the family of Craig Stephen Hicks, who shot the students, assert that the shooting was due to a parking space dispute. More and more are beginning to lean toward the possibility that the shooting was a hate crime for the students' Islamic faith. The upcoming trial will be a momentous one in American criminal judicial history, as well as the ongoing one concerning the death of Chris Kyle, a former U.S. Navy SEAL sniper, in the hands of one of the PTSD-afflicted veterans he was helping. The defense is strongly pushing for the case that the killer, Eddie Ray Ruth, was insane due to his post-traumatic stress disorder. We'll have to pay close attention to these 2 landmark cases. Sparks have also been flying in courts all over Alabama after State Chief Justice Roy Moore's announcement that courts don't have to comply with federal law and can refuse to issue marriage licenses to homosexual couples. However, yesterday, U.S. District Judge Kelly Granade, who overturned the gay marriage ban in Alabama last month, ruled that Mobile County must allow same-sex marriage and hinted that all of the other defiant counties do the same. There was another landmark court decision in South Korea, as Choyana, the daughter of the CEO of Korean Air, received a 1-year jail sentence for her repeated misbehavior in flights, such as abusing flight attendants and other crew members, the most famous and most recent tantrum being the one involving the bag of macadamia nuts. She ordered a Korean Air flight to return to the terminal at JFK in New York City to dismiss the chief flight attendant for not serving macadamia nuts on a dish, prompting international ridicule and outrage. She was subsequently removed from her position. It was not, however, the nuts that landed her in jail. It was decided that her repeated misdemeanors violated basic aviation law. Last week, we brought you the story of the mass hackings of the Anthem Group in a series of recent cyber attacks on American corporations and government functions. As a result, President Obama scheduled a meeting with Apple, Intel, and other tech groups in Stanford University today to discuss cybersecurity. Cyber attacks have been one of the major growing headaches across all echelons of American politics and economics, and hopefully today's all-day event featuring the best of Silicon Valley will see some solutions. Yesterday, ports from Seattle to San Diego nearly shut down in a major labor dispute over dock workers. It is projected that the delay will cost the American economy $2 billion every day should the slowdown become a full strike, as the 29 ports account for more than 1/10 of the American GDP. The good news is that the negotiations are continuing today after a short pause. Record February winter storms are heading toward the northeast again, as a system from the Midwest is predicted to dump blizzard conditions in New England over this weekend. According to AccuWeather, it is likely that there will be whiteouts, 50 to 70 mile per hour gusts, sub-zero wind chill, and mass power outages from Maine and Wisconsin all the way down to West Virginia, with nothing to say about the conditions in Canada. Residents will see at least 1 and at most 18 inches of snow. Residents on the North Atlantic seaboard, particularly Boston and many areas in Massachusetts, should also be concerned about strong storm surges like the one that in the last storm that passed through. Finally, we have to take some time to celebrate 6 people, the 6 crew members of Expedition 45, the first International Space Station crew to schedule a 1-year-long visit. As a result, NASA released perhaps the most awesome advertisement poster in the history of space exploration, the Star Wars themed poster with the crew members donning Jedi costumes and wielding lightsabers. Cool. The crew is composed of Americans Scott Kelly and Kel Lindgren, Russian Sergei Volkov, Mikhail Kornienko, and Oleg Kononenko, and Japanese Kimiya Yui. Best of luck to these brave men, and may the force be with them. I'm sorry for that reference. And that should be the 1010 news for this week. I'm Andy Hong. Make sure you like us on Facebook and YouTube. And we'll be back next week with more of your top 10 news in 10 minutes. Stay educated.